All right. I am going to wait a minute or two. Wait for people to come into the stream. Um, but if you read the title of this video, I'm going to be talking, obviously, about the Snyder Cut. That is right. It is coming. I thought this was a non-issue, okay? I thought this was a non-issue, and for a long time I've been saying, look, this is not going to happen. It's wishful thinking by us, the fans, that what we want to see, we're not going to get. And magic happened. Magic happened. We can talk all about it. How's it going, Numanoid? Good to see you in the stream. This isn't a stream without Numanoid09 here. That you're the person I was waiting for, Numanoid. All right, so let me talk about this. So it is official. I'm gonna actually go to Zack Snyder's tweet. Let's see. Actually, I think I might have typed his name wrong. Follow the guy, for crying out loud, and I can't even get it right. Give me a second. Yeah, I typed it in wrong like a dummy. All right, here we go. He said 7 hours ago, with a picture, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021, only on HBO Max. So this is obviously a big deal because this is something that kind of got started on Twitter, that people wanted this cut. We, the fans, we deserve to see Zack Snyder's true artistic vision and what he wanted for this movie. By the way, let me know, guys, whoever is here live, let me know if everything is running really well. I have my Ethernet cable plugged in right now because my last stream I had some issues. So hopefully that is getting fixed with the Ethernet cable being plugged in. But yeah, Justice League, okay? I got to be honest, I like Justice League. I understood that there were parts of the movie that felt off, where it didn't feel like a complete movie of Zack Snyder's. You could definitely feel and you could see the contrast between both him and Whedon, but I never felt like the Snyder Cut was a real thing. Because the thing is, essentially, it was an unfinished cut of the film, and forever I've been saying, guys, stop clamoring for it. It's not gonna happen. And HBO Max in 2021 is bringing out the Snyder Cut. Now, it should be noted that the movie is not finished. They're actually going to be shelling out $20 to $30 million so Zack Snyder can complete his vision for this film. Now, what does that entail? Probably a lot of CGI effects, maybe some post-production stuff. I don't see them shooting this movie. They're not going to do that. They're not going to bring the cast back. But what will probably happen is they'll finish up any effects that were not finished. They'll hire an editor, and then Zack Snyder is going to overlook everything, and he's going to give us the movie that he wanted to give us. So, do I think a lot of it is going to change? I don't. I don't think a lot of this movie is going to change. I do think that it's going to be like a director's cut. I don't know if any of you have seen director's cuts in films, but essentially they just add, a little bit more footage onto the initial theatrical film. And I think that that's what we're going to get with the Snyder Cut, is that we're going to get some extra footage. It's not going to be a 2.5, 3 hour long movie, nothing like that. It might be 10, maybe 15 minutes at most of footage that is added on. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I was not clamoring for this. I'm going to talk about some things that I think I have some issues with them releasing the Snyder Cut. But let me just get this out of the way. You might be asking, Nick, are you going to watch this cut? You're dang right. I'm going to watch this friggin' cut. I'm going to make a review and I'm going to have it's going to be like an event. I already have it kind of a little bit planned out in my head. Like, it's going to be an event for when this thing launches. That boom, I'm going to be right there watching it. Minute one that this thing drops, and we'll see. Is it going to change my overall thoughts on the film? I like the film as it is. I think it's a fun film. It's forgettable for sure, but it's a fun movie that has some nice moments. There is some really bad CGI, and hopefully they finish up the Henry Cavill mustache debacle. That would be extremely appreciated. Now, the cons of this, there's a couple. Number one, I think that this issue, this release the Snyder Cut, with it officially coming out, and I guess the power goes to the fans, I think that's an issue. Because here's the thing, Zack Snyder should be focusing on the future, not on the past. This is a movie that came out back in 2017, I think. 2017. We're talking 3 years ago. And everyone is clamoring so bad for a different cut of this film. It was 3 years ago. Let it go. Let it go. And I think that the issue is, are we just going to start seeing studios shell out this amount of money to a director who didn't get his way? I don't think that that's a good idea. And not only that, here's another thing. Zack Snyder's been off of this project for years. Years. What's the point of him going back? It's not going to be, because again, he's going to have to finish some of the things in this film. He might go, you know what? I have the money. I'm going to go and I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take out this part and I'm going to add this part in here. The thing is, this issue feels so small to me. The fact that people clamored for this, when it's like, yeah, it's a cool event. We, the fans, we won. But we shouldn't. We shouldn't have. Because you had so many people, and this is going to be, I get it. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but we had so many people clamoring for a film that came out 3 years ago. 3. Can we move on? Can we please move on? Look, I wasn't a fan of The Rise of Skywalker. If they announced, oh, there was a unfinished edit of the film that's different, would I be clamoring for it? No. Move on. It's just move on. There's more things to look forward to in the future, especially with the comic book genre. We just got Joker last year, a film that was nominated for Best Picture, along with Black Panther, which was nominated for a Best Picture. Not for the right reasons, I would say, but it still got nominated. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for his performance in Joker. We've had phenomenal movies like Logan, like Guardians of the Galaxy, movies that have shaped the comic book genre into something even more epic than what they originally were. Avengers Endgame. I mean, why go back to the well? Why go back? Trod that mileage back to something that happened 3 years ago. The problem is when people don't like something that they're big fans of and it disappoints them, I'm going to be honest, they're babies about it. They are babies about it. The thing is, yeah, I'll talk about how I don't like Rise of Skywalker, but a lot of it is for jokes. When I mention the Rise of Skywalker and stuff, it's because it's funny. But the thing is, you have these babies online who think that, oh, it didn't go my way, so it should go my way. That's not how life works. It's not. And I think that this is I don't want this to start a precedent where all of a sudden, if a director and a studio do not match their visions, which I will always, honestly, I will always go with the studio. They're the ones who are investing the money. But at the same time, they need to give the reign to the director and let him make the project he wants to make that they agreed upon initially. So I kind of see both sides, but I kind of lean more towards the studios because it is their money, essentially. Like, just because someone gives you money and they tell you to spend it this way, that means you should spend it that way because you owe it to the person who hired you to make it that way. I can't just get hired on a job and then my boss tells me, hey, why don't you do this? And I do the complete opposite of what he says. And then I get mad if he takes me off of the project or he fires me. I get mad. And I'm like, that's stupid. It was my vision. No. You need to understand, it's a job, okay? These people are employed by the studios. So the studio, if they don't like something and they tell you to fix it and you say, suck it, it's like in real life, you're going to get fired. So to me, it is a win for us fans. And I'm not going to try to say that it's not. And I'm not trying to say that I don't want to see it. I do want to see this cut. But I do think that the issue is we, the fans, think that we're entitled to everything. Because if we didn't like something, it should be fixed. That's not how the world works, man. It's not how it works. And to me, I think it's also an issue that HBO Max is going to take $20 to $30 million, $20 to $30 million to let Zack Snyder finish this movie. Because again, guys, I've said this before in past videos, the movie was never finished. It was never finished. And a lot of people were claiming, I want to see it the way that he has it now. Okay, you want to see an unfinished movie? Do you want to see literally a green screen behind actors, wearing like the motion capture stuff? That's what you get. So again, I think that they have to. They can't release the movie as it is now because it's not a finished product. But I do think that there is an issue of them saying, hey, we're going to shell out $20 to $30 million. Look at where we are right now. We are all in quarantine. The coronavirus pandemic is sweeping the world, and movie theaters are they're suffocating right now. They're suffocating. Movie studios having a very tough time because now you have to push things back to possibly next year, and it's already overcrowded. And what are you going to do? You have to have two big blockbuster movies competing with one another, and so neither company is going to make nearly the amount of money that they would have if this whole pandemic didn't happen. And you're telling me HBO Max decides that they want to shell out $20 to $30 million more dollars to a guy who literally has been off of the project for like 4 years, hasn't been associated with that universe. I don't get it. Here's an idea, Hollywood. How about instead of making a non-issue an issue, why don't we actually make an issue an issue? Like, for example, the original trilogy. Why don't we get the original cuts of those movies? That's not very hard. It's not like you have to go and redo everything. No. It was already redid before. You just go back and get the original stuff. And you know Disney has that power. They can do it. They have the original films, the way that they were intended to be seen in theaters. I get George Lucas made the corrections, but come on, if we're talking about the Snyder Cut as a reality, then we should be talking about other films. What about the Alien 3 that we never got? Where's that? Where's that? It's just, to me, it baffles my mind how we as film fans sometimes believe that we're entitled, that we are so much more important than everyone else, and that if we don't like something, it should be fixed and corrected. What we need to understand is we need to move on. We need to move forward. There's a lot more movies to be discovered. What the DC universe is now is different from what they were back when Justice League came out. Why can't we look forward to Wonder Woman 84? Why is that not more of a trending topic? What about, I don't know. What about the MCU films? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we going back in time? Again, I need to reiterate this point because I know I'm going to get in comments. You're stupid. You don't want this Zack Snyder cut. I never said I didn't want it. But to me, I do see the cons of making this an actual issue and bringing this in 2021. And I'm going to be honest. This is what's going to happen. People are either going to be on two sides of the fence. They're going to be on, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life, because you know how the hype train is. Even though it's not going to be the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your life, I don't have faith that the movie's going to change that much. Honestly, I really don't think that the movie's going to change that much. That's just my opinion. It's going to be like a director's cut, okay? I will say this, though. If they do release it on Blu-ray, I'm going to buy it because that is pretty dope. And then the second opinion is that, wow, we wasted all of our crying and whining for that, trash. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I think more people are going to not like it than people like it. And then you know what's going to happen? You know what I'm going to say? We were crying about nothing. Nothing. It's like, look, I get you don't like Justice League, but who cares? There's other comic book movies out there. There's other ones. I don't like Suicide Squad. Does that mean I want a David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad? Frick no. I've already seen the movie. I'm checked out already. I'm moving on. I like Justice League how it is. Again, forgettable. It's not amazing or anything like that, but I have fun with it. I own the movie on Blu-ray. By the way, Zoe Doom, before you leave, what is knife jogging? You gotta tell us what knife jogging is. I am confused. Is that like a self-defense method if someone tries to sneak up on you? Is that like a thing in a video game? Let me know. But yeah, I get it. If you guys disagree with me, I understand. You know, that's the subjectivity of film, and that's what I love about this community is that we're perfectly fine telling each other, "Hey, you know, I don't agree with you," and that's great. You shouldn't. I don't want you to agree with me. I don't want to brainwash people into thinking the way that I do because what's the point in that? That's not fun. Then it's not a community. It's communism. But again, you know, for a long time, you know, everyone who said that the Snyder Cut is going to come out, and I said no, I apologize. I was wrong. I was wrong. And I believe it was Zoe Dune in my last, and I'm wrong, guys. I'm not right all the time, you know. I like to think that I'm right, but I'm not. And I think it was Zoe Dune who told me, "Hey, Nick, you might be," or he said, "I believe Zoe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that the Oscars might get postponed." And I said, "No, they're not going to do it. It's May. It's too early. Let's step on the brakes." And now we hear a report the Academy is considering postponing the 2021 Oscars. And I'm like, Zoe, I apologize. If it was Zoe, if it was someone else, I deeply apologize. I did not think that was going to happen. And you know, hat goes off to you, brother, for thinking that way. I didn't think that way. So yeah, that's really all I want to say. Let's celebrate. We're fans. This is what we've been clamoring for. And I think it is pretty awesome that the power of Twitter is so real. You know, the power of social media, because this is something that has been going on for a long time, ever since the movie got released. And we won. As fans, this is what we want. But again, I do have some issues with this news and the fact that he's coming back at 3 years after the movie came out when it's kind of like let's move on, you know, let's go somewhere different because there are more comic books. There are more characters in those comic books. There are more movies set in comic book worlds. Let's just move on to those. Let's get excited for those. But hey, I want to know, are you guys going to be getting HBO Max now that they announced the Snyder Cut is coming to HBO Max in 2021? Let me know either here in the chat or you can let me know down below in the comments section your thoughts on this news. And are you going to be getting HBO Max? I know I'm getting it on launch day. I believe because I have HBO Now, I get it for free. If not, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be canceling HBO Now and I will be shifting that money that I spend to HBO Now over to HBO Max. But I'm pretty sure I get HBO Max for free. That's what I've been told. It's kind of confusing. But if I don't on the 27th, I'm canceling HBO Now and just moving to HBO Max because I have Game of Thrones on Blu-ray and I own the entire series. So I don't need to go to HBO Now. And it's going to be on HBO Max anyway. Now, Westworld is a show that I have watched that I don't love it, but I like it enough, I guess, to watch it. That's a show that, you know, if it's only on HBO Now, like next year, no, 2022 now, probably because the coronavirus canceled everything. Um, then I will move back to HBO Now, but I don't need it because I don't watch anything on it right now, essentially. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts about this news, and let's have a conversation about it. Again, I am for the side of fans. We won, we got what we wanted, but there's always good things about every situation. There's always good things about every situation, and there's always those bad things about every situation. And I really hope that this doesn't start a chain of catastrophic proportion where we have directors saying, "Hey, I want my cut of this, I want my cut of that," because studios shouldn't just be throwing around money like that. I think it, especially in this climate, that's just a really stupid thing. Uh, okay, knife jogging at night with a knife between my teeth. Okay. Sorry if I'm not active in chat, Nick. I'm playing. No, dude, you go play on your Switch. What are you playing? Let me know. I want to know what you're playing. I was playing on my Switch earlier today. Um, yeah, I was playing on my Switch a lot. Various film festivals that were supposed to happen across the world to feature new releases, press junkets, and so forth have been canceled. Yeah, I know it's crazy, man. It's really really crazy. I have a friend. His name is Coleman Anderton. He makes short films. He's also an aspiring filmmaker like myself, and he made this short film that he ended up getting. Like he got a bunch of like he ended up. I think it was. Did he start a? What is it? It's not GoFundMe. It's is it GoFundMe? The one that you get like perks and stuff. I think that's no. What is that? What is that site? I'm like blanking. Anybody in the chat, let me know. It's a site where like it's like GoFundMe, but it might even be GoFundMe. But I don't think it is. But like when people give you like a certain amount of money, they get perks. So anyway, he did one of those to fundraise for his movie, and he got the money that he needed. He was shooting like a Western short film for his class, and he was going to enter it into Sundance, but unfortunately, and I think he entered it into a couple other festivals as well, and unfortunately, because of all this, they had to cancel it, and it's kind of just sitting on the shelf. So it's unfortunate. Like it's impacted a friend of mine. And hopefully, because next year I plan on making my own short film at the end of this year, and I'm hoping to also enter it into some festivals next year. So hopefully, we'll get back on track, and I'll be able to do that. They also have to loosen up the rules for movies that aren't able to get theatrical releases. That's what they were doing, but now they're like, oh, we're gonna just postpone the Oscars or even cancel the Oscars altogether. And I'm like, it's May. Like, let's wait until like at least September or October. See where the state of the theater business is after the summer. Don't just give up. That's what I feel like a lot of people are doing. They're giving up. I saw someone on Twitter who I follow, I'm not going to name names, even though he doesn't watch my channel anyway, but he's a reporter, and he made a prediction that I completely disagree with. He said, it's going to be probably until Thanksgiving or even next year until we see movies in theaters again. And I'm like, I completely disagree. Completely. That you're giving up. You are giving up, and you shouldn't do that. Things are kind of starting to turn around. I mean, states are reopening slowly. The virus is still going around, but as long as you there are ways that you can make sure that people can be safe but go back on to their normal lives. And I'm not saying movie theaters are important. No, what's more important is people's jobs and people having the opportunity to go out and actually support themselves financially. And there are ways to put safety precautions so people can go back to work, and we don't have to be trillions upon trillions and trillions of dollars in debt because of this pandemic. Now, I've only seen Shazam, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman from the DCEU. Those are really great films, actually. Those are three fantastic films. I really love Shazam. Shazam was such a fun movie. Definitely need to watch that one again. Aquaman, I've only seen once in theaters. I do own it on Blu-ray somewhere. But I I definitely need to go back and watch it, but I really enjoyed it. And then Wonder Woman, what a movie, man! That movie's phenomenal. I cannot wait for Wonder Woman 84. It looks so good. I recommend Man of Steel. Man of Steel is my favorite DCEU film, and now apparently it's just the DC universe. They've kind of changed it up a little bit, but yeah, Man of Steel is fantastic. Numanoid. I really recommend you watch that. I think you'll really like Man of Steel a lot. There's too much scrambling to do with production shutting down until who knows. Yeah, we don't really know, and that's the thing is, it's like it's so hard right now because essentially we don't really know when everything's going to open back up, and people can only predict, right? So there aren't any indicators of when this thing is going to be completely dead, and it's not going to be for a while. I get that, but as we get slower and slower with, as the cases get lower and lower, I think that we can start reopening stuff up and actually give people normalcy again. That's my thought on it. But I do think that people should still be safe, and depending on your area, you should stay inside. And I think you should still be safe. I mean, you shouldn't have to go outside unless you have to go outside. That's still my opinion on it. Oscars or award shows that rely on these kinds of films are losing too much to spotlight anything. Well, the thing is you still have Netflix. I mean, you still have streaming services that are players. Here's the issue with canceling the Oscars. Now, could it be pushed back? Sure, it could. Cancellation, I think, is a major issue. What are you going to do for the 2022 Oscars? You have to have 2 film years qualify for the Oscars. You know how much of a mess that's going to be? That's going to be a huge mess. And you can't just say, oh, 2020 was a wash. We can't, because there wasn't a lot of films. We're just going to, we'll just cancel that season. And so it's just going to be 2021. You can't do that because there are films that are going to be coming out through streaming services that are going to be heavy players during award season. I'm playing Warframe. I'll probably be heading out in a couple minutes. All right, you do good. Maybe Patreon. No, it's not Patreon. It's I don't know what it's called. It's not Patreon though. I'm gonna look it up. It's killing me, honestly. I can look it up right now because I actually support a couple of projects. Indiegogo. There we go. Indiegogo. That's what it is. There we go. Indiegogo. He started an Indiegogo campaign. September is too late to wait. Movies that were scheduled for theatrical releases, how are they going to keep their schedules? They're going to wait. September is too late to wait. Okay, here's my thought, Zoe. Here's the thing. It's not too late to wait. And I'll tell you why. Because most films, like most Oscar seasons, you're not going to see movies that are like heavy award players earlier in the year. They're all later in the year. So, I mean, September is the earliest that films pretty much can get Oscar. Like, any film can get Oscar consideration, but September is usually the time when they really look at and films start getting momentum towards the award season. Like A Star Is Born. That movie came out in September a couple years ago. I mean, that's the thing is I think September, you have to wait. But I'm saying September is a good time because I think given the summer, and there's not a lot of films anyway in July and August, you really have to wait because those films are still holding on. Tenet, Mulan, they're all holding on for dear life right now. They're still holding on to their release dates. I think if they get pushed back, then we could see the Oscars figure something out. But I think right now it's way too early. It's way too early. We're in May. We still have 4 months until September. So to me, I think the better play is wait till September, see what the state of theaters are then, and then make a decision. Because you still are going to have, again, streaming services at play. They're still going to be playing for those, during the award season, especially Netflix, especially Apple TV Plus, especially Amazon Prime. You're going to have all 3 of those streaming services that are still going to be heavy hitters and possibly could win all the awards this year if there's no movies in theaters. So why postpone the Oscars when you could say, look, we had everything pretty much pushed back until late in the year or in, you know, on a streaming schedule, and we're just going to focus at the end of the year. They're going to have to focus on the latter end of the year anyway, because pretty much the whole first half of this year is a wash. There's like not a lot going on. So to me, I think wait till September, see where the state is of movies, and I think that there's going to be, with everything reopening, I think that there's going to be some play in to be had for film, and I think if the Academy makes that decision now, it's what happens if a month from now everything gets better and movies come back, and then it's just kind of like stupid. Are they going to go back on their word? I don't know. And here's the thing: you can stream the Oscars. You can stream it. Look at what they do for Oscar nominations. They have two people there who basically say the nominations for all the awards. Why can't you do that for the Oscars? For the Oscars, you just don't have a big award show. You just have people Skype in from home that are nominated for their respective categories. It's not that hard. I mean, you do it for your nominations anyway. Just do it for the regular show. You don't need a big fancy show. Okay, where am I? Let's see. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here in a couple minutes, guys. I have something going on at 9. There are movies that they won't allow to go to VOD. It's not as if they were going to see Tenet or James Bond for straight to VOD. We don't. Well, I know that, but to be honest, to be fair, Tenet I think could be an awards is going to be an awards heavy film potentially. And that could just be pushed to the end of the year. I mean, that'll have no issues if it gets pushed to December or November. And it'll actually help Christopher Nolan's chances of getting some nominations. James Bond, let's be honest here. Let's be completely open here, Zoe. Do you see James Bonds? James Bonds. Do you see James Bond getting nominated for Oscars? I don't. Maybe for Best Original Song, or maybe for costume design. But for any of the big players, do you see it getting nominated for Best Picture? No. I mean, if the film is amazing, then yeah. But, and I'm not saying it's not going to be amazing, but it's not an Oscar bait movie. It's really not one of those movies that I can see just playing hard in the Oscars. And I'm not saying that these movies need to get straight to VOD releases. They shouldn't, because that is going to ruin those studios. I'm not saying they should be released on VOD. What I'm saying is there are films that were already purchased by Netflix and Amazon, or distributed by Netflix and Amazon, that are being released this year that are going to be in award contention. I'm not saying that these films are going to be sold to Netflix. That's not going to happen. Not Tenet and James Bond. I mean, those are two movies you can move easily to the end of the year, or you just move them next year. It's not that big of a deal. Tenet, it could hurt Tenet a little bit more, and maybe you push off your December 31st date for the Oscars. I could definitely see that, where they're like, you know what, we're going to start considering films in like January or maybe even February of next year. Before the award show. I think that's a great idea. I think I'm okay with that as you play a little bit into 2021, but you can move those films to January and February if that's such a major issue. I mean, we're not going to see these big tentpole films being released on VOD. I'm not saying that, and I don't think that's a good idea anyway, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Apple TV Plus, they want award consideration. They are playing hard. Look at what Netflix did last year with The Irishman, with Marriage Story. I would even say The King, even though it didn't get nominated for anything, but it had some really great Oscar potential if the film would have maybe came out a little later or if it played a little differently. But the thing is, these studios, these streaming service platforms, they're going to have their own films that they want to show. There's a film with Amy Adams and Glenn Close coming out at the end of the year. That's a Netflix film that a lot of people are saying early on. Their early predictions are this film is going to have a heavy play into award season. I mean, you have Amy Adams and Glenn Close. I mean, what more could you want? So there's a lot to be had. I mean, I'm not saying again, I don't know everything. I could be wrong. 2 weeks down the line, I could be wrong, and maybe they move the date. But what I'm saying is that I think it's a little too premature for them to even think about that. That's not the workaround. That's not the workaround these studios want. Well, the thing is unfortunately because of this coronavirus pandemic, what the studios want, I mean, they can't really do anything about it. And essentially, we've already seen a bunch of movies get pushed off. A lot of movies, like Tenet, for some reason is still staying on to July, which that's a little interesting. But I think when you have movies like Dune and you have movies, I'm trying to think of another like big. You have the new Taika Waititi film with Michael Fassbender coming out, the soccer film. Those two movies are going to have a lot of Academy pressure. There's going to be a lot of people eyeing those films for the award season. And what I think that they could do is essentially you push it back a little bit. You push the Oscars back. You push back the fake Golden Globes. The Golden Globes are the worst awards out there. I hate the Golden Globes. They mean nothing because there's only like a constituent of 90 people that vote for those awards, and it's really dumb. Anyway, that's beside the point. You push back like the Spirit Awards, the New York Film Critics awards, whatever. You push back all of the awards, all the heavy award. What's the word that I'm looking for? Award centric hosts, essentially, the ones who kind of lead up to the Oscars. You push those back. You're pushing the Oscars back, and they can do that. And I think that you can still play the game of, well, you know what, we're going to push back the December 31st date and push it to like maybe February or even January, maybe even March. And then those films in the first quarter of 2021 are also eligible for the Oscars in 2020. Essentially, that's essentially the way you play it. Do I think they're going to do that? I have no idea, but I do think that it is premature for them to think, oh, everything is canceled. This year's done. We're just going to wash it. I think that's too premature. We're in May. It is May. If we were in July or August, I'd say, yeah, everything's going to be pushed back. I'd agree with you, Zoe. I really would. But we're in May. I think it's a little too early. Again, I was wrong about what you said about them thinking about pushing it back, but I don't see it as a possibility for them to just cancel it altogether. And for obviously studios are going to be upset, but what else can the studios do at this point? I mean, they can keep moving their release date and hope that things get better, but we already have a very crowded end of the year. So it's like, what are you going to put on? Are you going to put Mulan up against Dune and Tenet together? No freaking way. That movie's not going to make nearly as much money as it would if it was just playing on its own. So it's hard. It's a really hard situation. I'm gonna head out. All right, Numanoid, take care. Good night. Wonder Woman or Black Widow isn't going to go. I'm not saying they're going to VOD. I'm not saying any of those films are going to VOD. What I was saying about that is that you can push those movies back. You can push them back as far as you want. None of the big major tentpole films are going to VOD. All right? Mulan, not going to VOD. Wonder Woman, not going to VOD. Black Widow, not going to VOD. James Bond, not going to VOD. Tenet, not going to VOD. Dune, not going to go to VOD. Any movie, because the movies would lose so much money, or the studios would lose so much money on those films. Something like Scoop can go on VOD because essentially the movie honestly wasn't going to make that much money in theaters anyway. There wasn't really a heavy play for Scoop. And a lot of people are like, well, what about Halloween 20, Halloween Kills? There's no way they're releasing that movie on VOD. No way are they releasing it on VOD. It would destroy Universal. It would destroy Blumhouse. The potential of everything that Halloween 2018 did for that franchise moving forward, especially in terms of box office, there's no way. So I'm not saying Wonder Woman or Black Widow is going to VOD. I do not think that's the case at all. Streaming services aren't considered by the Oscars. You should know Irishman had to go to be screened to be under. Okay, okay. I know that, Zoe. But what I'm saying is they've already said that their eligibility requirements are changing for this year, that they're looking at allowing streaming services to not have to play on screens in order for them to be eligible for the Oscars. So I understand what you're saying. I know the rules. I know how it goes. But essentially, that's what they're planning on doing because they've talked about it already as changing the eligibility. So what I'm talking about is I'm saying if they truly change, I guess it's my fault. I should have said what like in the context under the context of what I was talking about. But I'm going off of what they said about how they're going to change the eligibility requirements for films on streaming services this year. Does that make sense? That's what I was referring to. That's what I was trying to get across. And I guess that's my fault. I should have said, hey, I'm looking at this from the lens of, if they actually change their eligibility requirements. And I understand what you're saying. Yes, I do know Irishman had to be screened. It has to play on so many screens before it can be eligible for the Oscars and awards consideration. I get that. I completely understand that. But I'm saying because they're thinking about changing their eligibility requirements, which honestly, they should do that anyway. They should do that anyway. For this circumstance this year, I think they will, because what else are you going to do? If everything is canceled in theaters, there's no award season. So you have to allow these films on streaming services to basically be the only thing considered because they're the only things playing. You think Netflix is going to get into the awards big time this year? I do. They've been doing really well the past couple of years. I mean, you have Irishman last year, which I love Irishman. Trying to think. They have oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Marriage Story was another big one last year. Really tough movie to watch. I don't think I'd ever watch it again. It's very depressing. It's a movie about divorce, but yeah, I think that they're going to be very big into the awards game this year. I mean, they have a movie with Amy Adams and Glenn Close playing hillbillies. If that doesn't scream Oscar bait, I don't know what does. But I think, yeah, they're going to, and especially if all the movies, say like movie theaters actually don't open again until like October or well at the end of the year, Netflix might be the only thing. Netflix, Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, maybe even HBO Max. Who knows? Maybe they have a film up their sleeves that could play for the Oscars. I have no idea. But all of these streaming services this year is their chance to actually kind of make their way on the map. And I think that, over the past couple of years with the Academy giving them opportunity, I think that that's super important because it's going to lead to a bigger year for all of those streaming services. And I think that if we had not seen such a push from Netflix or Amazon or Apple TV Plus over the past couple of years, I don't think that this would be possible. I think that, yeah, you'd have to probably say the Oscars are pretty much as good as canceled. But because we have streaming services, I think that we're in pretty good shape. VOD makes the most sense for G or PG films. Taking kids to the theater can be expensive and a waste if the kids act up. Anything PG-13 and up makes no sense to go VOD. I agree, actually, with that statement. Scoob was the perfect movie because, again, everyone's at home. Their families, everyone is with their kids at home. And it's a movie that screams family night. I own the movie. I watched it. It's a fun movie. I got entertainment out of it. I don't know when I'd watch it again, honestly, but the thing is it's, yeah, something that's rated PG. I mean, you don't really get G films anymore made. But like anything rated PG, maybe PG-13, maybe there's kind of a gray area, play really well to families. And I think in terms of it depends, because I think that also you have to look at it from a standpoint of how much did the movie cost? How much can it potentially make? If it's something like a tentpole franchise film, there's no way it's going to go to VOD. Wonder Woman, not going to happen. Black Widow, not going to happen. Um, New Mutants got a new day, but unfortunately, it's probably going to be postponed again. Just put that thing on Disney Plus, man. Put that movie on Disney Plus. I really want to watch it. That movie has been through so much hell. Just put it on Disney Plus. I mean, just do it. Or even Hulu. If it's a little too dark for Disney Plus, put it on Hulu. I mean, because the thing is, Disney's not going to make any of that money really anyway. I mean, it's not a film that they produce, so they're not losing anything. They only have everything to gain from that film and nothing to lose. I mean, okay, they put some marketing out there, so they can lose some marketing, but that's about it. I mean, Disney's not suffering by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, your major tentpole films, there's no way they're going to hit VOD. No way. A lot of people have been saying Halloween Kills, not gonna happen. There is no way that's going to happen. I think Halloween fans are just too optimistic that they're going to get the movie in October no matter what. And that's not the case. Look, if this thing spreads out until September and they push that movie back, there is no way that they're going to release Halloween on VOD. They're going to push that thing back, okay? And then they're going to push back Halloween Ends. It's going to happen. And I love Halloween. I'll be there, whenever that movie opens up, but the thing is, the reality is, any major tentpole film that has the potential of making lots of money, there's no way they're going to VOD. Now, could they play on potentially a lesser audience? Some films, yes. Some films, I really think that they could. But other films, yeah. If you're Christopher Nolan, you spend a lot of money on Tenet, there's no way you're showing that to 50 people at a time. There's no way. At least you'd have to be crazy to do that. But again, we'll see. But yeah, I think if it's an independent film or something small scale, like an A24 movie that you can only get in select theaters anyway, putting that out on VOD is not a bad play, because I think more people are going to be able to see it anyway than if you just kind of put it out there for select theaters, because you have a lot of that where you can only find the movie in like New York or LA. So yeah. Brazil. Yeah, Brazil. It's awesome. Are you from Brazil, Superman Brazil? That's pretty awesome. Thanks for joining in on the stream. But I think I'm going to close, guys. I have something to do in like a minute. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for the comments. I hope you guys know that I'm like super passionate when I speak, and I'm not trying to like put anybody down or anything like that. So just know that like I'm just a human being. I make mistakes. I'm wrong all the time. If you don't believe me, just ask my wife. Or even ask Mead. Mead knows me in real life. And I'm not the type of person that honestly can kind of talk about movies and like do it in like a very like calm manner sometimes. And I think that that's just my personality. I'm when I'm very passionate about something, I really kind of almost fight tooth and nail for that one thing. And that's one of my biggest flaws. For sure. Zoe, thank you so much though for the comments. Thank you so much for the questions. It really this was a great stream because I was able to think more about the awards season and think more about what is going to potentially happen and think about things that I didn't really think about before. And it's pretty incredible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Everyone who commented, anyone who didn't comment but just watched, that's great. Again, let me know down below your guys' thoughts on the Snyder Cut being released. I look forward to talking with you guys down in the comments. I will see you guys in my next video. And also, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It would definitely mean a lot. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Stay healthy.